When you're selling your business, you got to keep in mind that you're going to need to train the buyer post-closing. The buyer is spending all of that money on your business, and they want to make sure that they're going to be successful post-closing. And you've got all this knowledge in your head, and the buyer's going to want to make sure that you train them and teach them how to operate the business so that they can be successful moving forward. This is going to be important for the buyer, but it's also going to be important for the employees. It's going to be important for your customers and clients. So you got to keep in mind that on the day of closing, you are going to have to be there to train the buyer. So how does that work, and what kind of time frame are you looking at? On a very small business, and maybe a business that's also very easy to operate, that training period might be 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks would be included in the asking price. On bigger businesses and businesses that have a little bit more complications to them, a little bit more going on, you're going to need to include in the asking price probably 4 weeks of training that's included for the buyer. But that buyer might also need you for longer than 4 weeks because you have all this knowledge. You've owned the business for many, many years, and that buyer's got to make sure that they get a really good start out of the gate. So they might say, yes, that 1 month of training is great post-closing. I'm glad that's in the asking price, but they may need you and want you to stay on longer than that. But it's not fair to you to be sitting there training for months and months on end at no cost. So typically in that kind of a situation, the 1 month is included in the asking price. Anything over a month, you would be paid on a fair market salary to train them. Obviously, you're not going to get paid or get compensated as much as you would if you still own the business. You got to keep that in mind. It would be more of like a fair market type of a salary. So it's not going to be as much as that you're making. What I see sometimes is the buyer says, okay, let's do the 1 month of training for free. And then I need you maybe for 2 or 3 months, and every deal is different, but let's just say in this case that the buyer says on top of that 1 month that's included in the asking price, I need you for another 3 months. I'll pay you X amount of dollars. That'll be negotiated. Fair market salary again. But then they might also say on top of that, I need another 3 months just on a consulting basis. Something pops up, it's something unusual, that they can pick up the phone and they can call you and get a little bit of guidance, or maybe you come into the office once a week for a couple hours and sit down and talk to them. In that kind of a scenario, then that would turn into a consulting fee, and that'd be, a consulting fee that they'd pay on a monthly basis. So when you're selling your business, keep in mind that you need to train the buyers so they're successful. This is going to be a question that buyers are going to be asking. What are you willing to do for training post-closing? And it's so important for the buyer that you are willing to do that. So think to yourself, what are you willing and not willing to do post-closing? And the more you're willing that you're willing to give to a buyer, the more appealing it is going to be to that buyer.